dugsiga boardingka iyo maalinlaha ah ee Amano boarding and day.
Hello dear formants and welcome to today's lesson. I'm of a strong belief that you are all fine and doing well as we continue fighting this pandemic that is here with us. And I want to welcome you to this video lesson today to try and push our syllabus so that we are safe at the end of the day. Now, in our previous classes, we were focusing on the reading skills also, and we are looking at the idea of the paramedics. Now, today, I want to welcome you to this lesson, and we look at the ideas and the modern world. When we talk about the ideas and the modern world, we focus on the skills you need when reading texts, such as brochures, leaflets, newspapers, and magazines. So these are the ideas that you need when we are having and focusing on reading texts. Now, in this given case, when we talk about this given brochures, leaflets, newspapers, and magazines, we have to find out specifically what they are. And then we also move ahead to look at the differences between these specific items here. And as we move on, we should not forget the fact that skimming and in-depth reading is essential. We also have to ask ourselves this given question, and I think this one we did in class with you. We all understand what skimming is. And then in-depth reading is also another skill that we learned in class with you. So we shall incorporate these two given skills, and the moment we incorporate these two given skills, we are at a point where we get to understand exactly what we mean. Now, straight away, let's move into our lesson and look at the objectives of this given lesson. Now, by the end of this given lesson, you should be able to discuss and read about brochures, leaflets, newspapers, and magazines that we should be able to discuss. We should be able to read. And what are we reading about? We are discussing about brochures, we are talking about leaflets, we are talking about newspapers, not forgetting magazines. That one, we should be able to do that by the end of this given lesson. Number two, we should be able to design and write down examples of brochures and leaflets. We should be able to design and write down examples of brochures and leaflets. And lastly, we should be able to differentiate between brochures and leaflets. So at that particular point, the moment we start talking about the difference between brochures and leaflets, we are linking our lesson into the modern world. We are talking about communication in the modern world. And so, being a broad lesson, this is just part of it, that we begin the journey in this lesson, look at these ideas, and then as we move to the next lesson, we shall be able to look at the required essential as we move further into the modern world. Now, what are these? That is the question that we have to ask ourselves. We are mentioning names here. We are mentioning items here. We have to understand exactly what are these that we are trying to mention. Now, what is a brochure? Brochures, this is an informative paper, document, or advertising which can be folded into a template or a pamphlet. We have some key points here to note. It's an informative paper or document, that it has some information, that it has the information that you are supposed to get at a specific given point in time. And that given information is specifically in most cases for what? For advertising, which can be folded into a template or a pamphlet. That when you're talking about a brochure, you are supposed to have it, and then you fold that given paper. You can fold it into 2, you can fold it into 3, you can fold it in whatever way, in whatever style that you want. But what is the most important thing is that you are able to understand that this is exactly the information that is contained here. And what are we talking about? The information contained here is the issue of the advertisement. Now, there are promotional documents primarily used to introduce a company, an organization, products or services, and to inform potential customers of the public, of the benefits. And then at that particular point, you get to understand what we are talking about. Now, in this given case, I want us to focus on an organization, for example. Our school is an organization. Amano Boarding and Day is an organization. This school can have its own brochure. And the moment the school has its own brochure, it advertises itself. And at that particular point, you find that that brochure will have what goes on in Amano Boarding and Day. Now, in this given case, we move forward to ask ourselves a question. And the question we are asking ourselves here, what are the types of brochures? Are they of different types? The answer is yes. We move straight into that. The first one is a bifold brochure. And when you talk about a bifold brochure, we are at that given point. This is what we are calling a bifold brochure. Why are we calling it a bifold brochure? Look at this picture here. This brochure here has only 2 folds, actually 1 fold, making it a bifold. Bi means 2. So if bi means 2, at this particular point, we get to understand that this given picture is just folded. It is just folded once. So once it is folded once, this is the first fold. And then this one here is the second. And then where are we talking about? Where is the fold? This line here in this given picture, this is what we are calling the what? The fold. Now this fold here is making these 2 pages to be folded into 2. And that's why we are calling it a bi what? A bi brochure. So having said that, we move to the next type of brochure. And that one we are calling it a gatefold brochure. A gatefold brochure. What is a gatefold brochure? There we go. That is the picture. I want you to concentrate on this given picture here and look at how a gatefold brochure looks like. And as we go on, this is the first aspect of this. And then this one here is the second aspect. And then this one here is the third aspect. How many folds are on this given gatefold brochure? We have 2 folds. This one here is our first fold. This one here becomes our second fold. This tells you that we shall fold this brochure this direction, and we bring this one again, we fold it there. So it is more of a gate. This is a closure that is supposed to close there. This is a single gatefold brochure mock-up, and then we bring this one also. So this one folds this way, and then this one also folds that given what? To that given direction. So that one is a gatefold brochure. We move on to the next type of brochure. We call it a trifold brochure. A trifold brochure is there. When you look at it, it looks, or it's divided into 3, because when we talk about tri means 3. Tri means 3. So it is divided into 3 aspects. How is it divided into 3 aspects? Number 1, we have, this is the first aspect. Number 2, this is the second aspect. Number 3, this is the third what? The third aspect. The same here. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3. But the question we have to ask ourselves is, how many folds are they? Yes, this is the first fold. This is the second what? The second fold. So you find that this one, we call it what? A tri-fold what? Brochure. So that one becomes a trifold brochure. Now we move again to our next type of brochure. We are calling a Z-fold brochure. Yes, there we are. A Z-fold brochure. We all know how letter Z looks like. That is our letter Z. Look at this type of brochure here. our letter Z is there. Look at this particular curve here. And then look at this another fold here. This is the first fold. This one is the second what? The second fold. So you find that at this particular point, once we are having the first and the second fold, we are at a point where we get to that level of understanding to try exactly understanding what we mean by that particular fold in that given case. So here we now move again and look at what a leaflet is. That these are printed sheets of paper containing information, advertising, and usually distributed for free. It can also be referred to as a pamphlet or a pallet. So they are just sheets of paper that are supposed to be put there. Now this one is an example of a leaflet, and we can also have another example of a leaflet. It is just a single piece of paper. Now we move on and look at magazines. Magazines is a periodical publication containing articles or illustrations often on a particular subject or aimed at a particular readership. That one is an example of our magazine. Our magazine is about Barack Obama. And then we look at this, another one. This one is also an example of a magazine. So we have information that is contained in this given in this given magazine. So we move again and look at newspapers. These are printed publications, usually daily or weekly. We print them on daily basis or on weekly basis, consisting of folded installed sheets and containing news articles or advertising and the correspondence. So when you look at that, this one is an example of a newspaper. We can have Daily Mirror, we can have Daily Express, we can have The Independent. These are examples of newspapers that have been put under one given practice. So you find that at that particular point, that is what we are talking about when you talk about communication in the modern world. So you should be able to get the differences between brochures and leaflets. We have to say that brochures can be a small booklet and usually has pictures and information about the product, while leaflets are designed single sheets, just like we have looked at those given examples of the pictures. And then brochures has 4 to 8 panels, while a leaflet has not more than two pages. And lastly, brochures has 1 paragraph to fully detail, while a leaflet has points or in one sentence. So these are the differences between brochures and leaflets. The moment you get to know the difference between a brochure and a leaflet, and then you are ready to go. The most important thing for us to understand here is that a leaflet is a single sheet, whereas a brochure is there at that particular point. Now I have some follow-up assignment here, that you design and write down a brochure about a Amano boarding and day school. Include the following details in your brochure. You have the name of the school, the number of teachers, and then the buildings. And if possible, I want you to design it and even draw the buildings if possible. Draw the buildings of Amano. Let that picture come and then prepare